20 years ago, I came and lived in Japan for a year and studied martial arts and their culture and language and traveled the length of the archipelago from the snowy north all the way down to the subtropical south. It's a complex and fascinating country that I absolutely love. But there's one issue here that, as a naturalist, I find unsettling. I'm used to getting up at this time in the morning to go and see wildlife, and now we're here for a very different reason. The flotilla of boats are heading out to sea now to do something unthinkable. We have several boats all aligning in what looks like a formation, and that's usually a classic sign that they've discovered a pod of dolphins and they're going to begin herding them in. So there's that sense of absolute, utter dread. So we have a pod have been driven into the entrance of the cove. You can hear the banging from the boats, and the animals are moving around and around in a circle. They're not sure where to go. The Risso's dolphins. It's one of the largest species, and it's a pod of, I would guess, about maybe 12 animals, and they're really disorientated. What the drivers are doing is creating as much sound, as much noise as possible, because dolphins are so driven by their sense of hearing. And it's just absolutely disorientated them. They don't know where they're going or what they're doing. They're just going round and round in confused circles. But now they are netted. Their fate is sealed inside the cove. It's all just snatched glimpses looking down through the trees. The main killing zone is covered over with tarps now because they don't want us being able to see and record what's happening, but you can see enough. The dolphins are being caught by the tail, dragged in to this killing zone below us, and these animals are all going to be slaughtered here. You can hear sickening sounds coming up through the trees. It's absolutely brutal. Seeing them treated in this way, just going through unimaginable amounts of stress is really, really hard to take. I just feel sick. Two boats have just come past us with their grisly cargo. They're trying ever so hard for us not to see it. They have tarps covering over them, but they've been a little bit careless. This one just flapped up and you could see two dorsal fins, one of which was big, another one which was quite small alongside it, so it could well be a mother and calf. And you kind of have to ask yourself, if this is a completely fine activity, why are they going to such lengths to cover it from us? There's obviously shame here. The killing of dolphins and other small cetaceans for their meat is only a small part of the story. They are also taken in for the aquarium and live performing animal trade as well. This is a Risso's dolphin. It's the same species as the one we saw hunted this morning. And knowing that it's here at the expense of many of its family members, it's on its own, separated from its own group, all of a sudden it just puts everything into perspective. This white dolphin is very well known here at Taiji. She's called Angel. And she was caught here and has lived the majority of her life in this tiny tank. For me, when you understand a little bit about how the senses and the physiology of dolphins work, this is worse than a prison. You know, this is an animal that is so alert to sound, and you have constant music playing, constant people bouncing up and down on these windows here. The sound must be coursing through the water all the time. It must be like being inside a drum that's being constantly played. And seeing them in here, it just fills me with sadness. Many of the dolphins that are captured alive will be kept in pens like this before being shipped off around the world. We've seen people coming through this morning and treating the sick, and unfortunately they also have to take away the bodies of those that have died overnight. And I know I'm supposed to be a rational person, a person of science, but I can't help thinking about this emotionally, how I would feel to see my family killed in front of me and then be kept in confinement like this with an uncertain future. I really believe it's time for us to start talking to our Japanese friends and counterparts and trying to find a solution. Taiji is such a beautiful place. If we can't manage to protect and to save an animal that is so universally adored, then what hope do we have for all the other threatened species on Earth?